when they've watched that and they've heard what other success is and what that actually looks like. And companies that are utilising video on their website are actually, ranking better.
I think it really comes down to the strategy that underpins it, to be honest. Have you had any fan mail yet from Dr. Dave?
I've actually received a couple of letters through the post, believe it or not.
Yeah, that's good to you. Welcome to the Video Marketing Podcast, produced by Arc Media Group. Today with me, Graham Allsop, the Managing Director at Arc Media. Today's episode is all about the power of video. So today I'm joined with David Khan. David, tell me a little bit about yourself, mate. Tell me about you, your business, and the services that you provide.
Yeah, so just a bit about myself then. So I set up online marketing surgery in 2013 and I merged another company in that we set up in 2009. So I've been in the industry myself for quite a few years now, so early 2000s. As a service, we predominantly offer search engine optimization, so that's largely part of our revenue. We also offer paid pay-per-click marketing and web development. So those are the kind of the core areas of the business that we do. From a business perspective, when it comes to search engine optimization, we're quite rare in the industry. What I mean by that is, for example, we've got everything from the kind of the research team to the content creation team. So that's on-page content versus off-page content and generating kind of backlinks. We've got technical team, and also we've got the development team that can do all the kind of the implementation. So we've got quite the full life cycle there, as well as the kind of the consultancy stuff that we can do for businesses as well.
Yeah, amazing. I mean, a little bit of plug for yourself now. Obviously, you've been doing our SEO at Arc Media Group, and we found the whole process to be extremely smooth and clean and obvious. So
yeah,
so thanks for that.
Thank you for that. Yeah.
So in terms of obviously the video marketing side, Arc Media Group have been helping you with your video marketing. So just explain a little bit to me about what we've been doing for you and what impacts you've seen off the back of that.
Yeah, so in terms of the types of videos that you've helped us create, there's explainer videos where we've been able to explain a kind of a service from search engine optimization to paid advertising to kind of web development. And not only that, but also, our processes and process type videos. So that helps us when trying to pitch to, new clients, and they're trying to understand, a bit about how we're going to work and that experience around that. And from there, we've created videos that explain that kind of that process. And then we've got, other types of videos around, case studies, reviews, testimonials from clients, which then obviously if we're pitching to kind of companies or people want to hear more and feel more about what we can offer them, not only from a business perspective, but also what the service can actually give them in terms of if you're doing SEO, somebody's never done it before, it's what's the kind of results that you can expect from that. So say like, for example, one of our clients, 0 online sales through to, this current year we've done 1.5 million as one example. And there's multiple examples of that. And not only that, we've used, video to kind of bring our culture alive a little bit, put in there, things around the meet the team and so forth and kind of humanise, the brand. And then we've got the kind of the alias of kind of Dr. Dave, and where we're trying to educate people by asking and answering various kind of questions within the industry to help them better improve their own marketing.
Yeah. I think that was one of the main key strategies that we were looking forward to starting to work with you on this collaboration, really, is because SEO, there's still a kind of a lot of myth busting around SEO. People still don't really truly understand it. So very much like simplifying it down and using a platform like TikTok with short form engaging content, but then putting you as a persona so it's likable. It helps kind of myth bust a lot of the stuff around the digital marketing stuff. I mean, just to give me a few examples of some of the videos that we've obviously been producing for you from that side of things.
Yeah, so some of the videos, we're talking about TikTok.
TikTok, yeah.
So say like, for example, some of the kind of the TikTok videos that we've produced, they're kind of educational. So they'll say, what is SEO? How can SEO, improve my business? Those types of things. We've got other types of videos that we're pushing out there that explains like how to 10x your sales through search engine optimization, or how to get the best cost per click say on kind of Google ads or something, through to other types of videos where we've been in a situation where somebody's come in like a prospect and asked a certain type of question, and what we're doing there is we're almost role playing that question. So somebody's almost walking into the surgery, because we're called online marketing surgery. So it's walking into the surgery and I'm the Dr. Dave, and then kind of giving the prescription, for success, for them. So there's a bit of funnies around that as well.
Yeah, I think it's key to have that kind of like fun, engaging side there. Otherwise, people just scroll straight past, don't they? Like you got to have something. You got to have a persona or some kind of hook.
Yeah, definitely. And then there's other types of videos as well that, are just, the more promotional, commercial, where we're saying, if you want to generate X number of sales and leads, then basically this is what you need to do, and you need to speak ultimately with us. But the good thing is, and I get comments literally every single day of all different types. I'm getting, not only on, if we're sharing it on LinkedIn and Facebook and all the other social platforms, but even, WhatsApp messages from friends and stuff like that are just, laughing about the brand. But the thing is, what we're trying to do there is we're trying to be clever in terms of, we're trying to associate that. If somebody thinks of marketing, they think, who was that doctor in a white coat, and almost relate back to kind of us as a brand, really.
Yeah, have you had any fan mail yet from Dr. Dave?
I've actually received a couple of letters through the post, believe it or not.
Yeah, that's a good achievement. Yeah. So, asking for real prescriptions,
exactly.
Digital marketing prescriptions.
So, yeah,
amazing. And then talk to me about a little bit about the case study side and the testimonial side, because obviously, as you know, from a business leader, it's much more powerful to have somebody talk about the success that you've generated for them than it is for you yourself to talk about how you've helped them. So, how have you weaved that into your marketing strategy?
Yeah. So in short, when a prospect comes in, often we'll, send over the proposal, we'll go through the proposal with them, but we'll accompany, say, like a creds deck, and we've embedded those, like videos into the creds deck. And the feedback is, even one the other day, where a lady said, the results that you've provided, for X, Y, and Z companies, are pretty impressive. I watched, certain videos and testimonials that aligned with their business. Say, like, for example, it was like training and so forth, and we gave them a video that was related to that. So then ultimately, when they've watched that and they've heard, what other success is and what that actually looks like, and not only is it, if in that video they've explained how easy it was to work with us, but the results that they've attained from it, it's almost helping with the kind of the sales process, and the deal, with the clients obviously have got a lot greater potentially for that.
Well, it makes it real for people, doesn't it? If it's someone else talking about how great your business is, as a gold mine.
Yeah, and the thing is as well, not only that, but in the video testimonials, we're actually showing stats as well, so it's backing up the evidence.
Yeah.
So it's,
Yeah, lovely. So moving on to kind of like the power of video in itself. Obviously, we know the video can be a powerful tool across platforms such as like LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. But how does video affect SEO and the improvement in the rankings on Google?
Yeah, so there's multiple things I guess we've got to kind of consider. So, from a search engine perspective, they're pulling in, especially like Google, they're pulling in, carousels, so you can get to video, and the videos that are displayed, on say like YouTube and sites and so forth, directly. But not only that, if you've got, videos that are, say, like embedded in the sites, it's engaging in terms of click-through rates, increasing engagement, it's increasing visibility, especially if the video's shared across multiple platforms. Not only that, if people are actually liking and sharing the video, that's helping build the reputation as well of the kind of the domain and the brand, purely because then that then gets shared with multiple people, and then those backlinks then point at the site and build that authority. So what we're noticing as well is, a lot of companies that are utilising video on their website are actually, ranking better than some of those that are not really. So, and especially those on the first page. So, but what we've got to be clear about with the videos is that they've got to be adding value. If you're, answering a particular problem, giving people the right type of information, it's that type of stuff that people want to see. If, for example, somebody's on a particular page and you're educating them, say, like, for example, if we was educating somebody about what SEO is and the benefits that SEO could bring to you, if there's one or two videos that explain that, and then you've got, say, like a case study video testimonial, that then will help that person follow that process, keep them on the site, and almost, take them to the call to action. So whether it's a checkout, whether it's getting on the phone or filling in a form, that type of stuff. By doing that, Google and the search engines can also see that, and therefore they would reward you for that.
Yes, it's very much acting as part of the sales tool, isn't it? SEO drives traffic to your website, and video helps keep people there,
Yeah.
educate them, and push them to the call to action.
Yeah, and what I'd say is, especially from, say, like a search engine optimization perspective, and what we're kind of accountable for, is that, so when you guys create the videos, we have to optimize the videos from a search engine perspective. So, putting all the metadata, the relevant, tags, making sure that all the kind of the rich snippets and things like that are all embedded to give us the best chance of getting that video visible into the search engine results. And therefore, that's where it gets more exposure. There's no point in just having a video and sticking it almost like in your drawer with no optimization around it. As well. So by doing that, and you would have seen that yourselves, potentially would have been, like YouTube, it's one of the biggest search engines, in the world, with, millions of views per day and uploads per day. When they're all videos that are uploaded to YouTube, they need to be kind of optimizing the right to get that visibility. Without doing that, you're never going to get that visibility.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, amazing, cool. So, from your perspective, what type of video do you think feeds the SEO best? If that makes sense, is it loads of short form videos that you can push out on LinkedIn to drive traffic to your website, or is it a video that sits on your website to explain to your visitor what the business is and how you can help? From your experience, what works best?
Yeah, so obviously, different platforms prefer different time periods on videos. So whether it's a minute video or a 3-minute video and so forth. What we do see is, like, for example, like YouTube prefers longer form videos, where YouTube Shorts and TikTok prefer more the short, snappier kind of videos. Now, in terms of the kind of the context of the video, what I would say is that it all really depends on what the kind of the query that people are looking for, and that information they're looking for to, and what the video is actually answering them. I'd say that was more beneficial than actually does long or short form, work better.
Yeah.
Because then we can see, for example, what we call percentiles. So how many people viewed a video at 25%, 50%, 75%, or even, watched the full video, in its entirety. And just depends on where people are, say, in that kind of that marketing funnel, and the kind of intent and questions that they're asking. If they're looking for, informational based content, or if they're looking for something that's more transactional or commercial, depends on what you say and how you say it, and the length of the video.
Yeah.
Really.
No, brilliant. So let's talk about AI then. The hot topic. So how do you feel like, obviously there's a lot more AI created content now in terms of video production. How do you feel that will change the way people either perceive videos or take in videos, or even help the SEO? Have you got any views on that? If you have any thoughts?
Yeah, so in terms of AI and video, we're all trying different things, aren't we, at the moment? Just trying to see what AI can actually produce, and pushing it kind of, I wouldn't say to its limits, because it's definitely not to its limits, but just testing what's available to us to see how it can produce. But the one thing that I definitely would say is that I don't understand really how AI can replace certain things, such as, for example, internally, we've built a kind of a culture. We have our way of working, our processes, we have, the team and so forth. I don't believe that AI could replace that. Having some kind of you guys recording videos, around the office for us brings the humanization to the kind of the video, and that human element. Equally, if, for example, we've got clients that we're achieving results for, and they're shooting, say, case studies and video testimonials based on that. Well, obviously, it's got to be the kind of the client. It's got to be real. AI is not going to be able to kind of do that. So it's always, video is always going to have its place, in terms of, from a organic kind of perspective versus, generated through AI.
Yeah.
Hopefully that's answered your question.
I think that AI can be a fantastic tool, and we use it within our business to quicken resource and all that kind of stuff. But I think you hit the nail on the head. It's very much still people do business with people, and that's never going to change.
No.
Again, it's like using your Dr. Dave TikTok channel. It's like it wouldn't be the same if it was an AI generated character. You know, you're the leader of your business. People expect to see you as the leader and the expert.
Yeah.
So it just wouldn't work, would it? You know, it does work in some senses, but I think, you know, we very much use it for the pre-production side. You know, some fantastic softwares out there for storyboarding. You know, you don't have to hand illustrate anymore. You can use prompts and it generates images for you.
Yeah.
Obviously, Google's just released their new VO over in America, and it looks and sounds incredible because it creates audio for you now as well, but it's not real. And I think that is the key thing here. It'll always have its place within marketing. But I think in terms of the B2B sector, I feel like it's important to get the real voices in there, especially through case studies and testimonials.
Yeah.
Lovely. So on the subject of AI, if we fast forward 5 years, or from your perspective, how do you feel like the video industry will change and kind of the landscapes will shift?
Okay, so first and foremost, I think that what's considered now is kind of normal with video. I think it'll be even more normal, you know, for companies to be kind of using that, not only from just like a website perspective, but also, you know, in terms of their marketing, you know, embedding, you know, videos more into kind of case studies, or even, you know, using videos, which we are using them, you know, for, say, like ads and social ads and you know, retargeting and engaging customers and trying to bring them kind of back. I think that'll be even more, you know, kind of normal. And then we're going to see, so, you know, more adopters of kind of search engines like your TikToks and your kind of your YouTubes born, and those kind of growing. And I think what we've got to consider here as well is, like, you know, as we're getting generational shift, you know, definitely, you know, the younger generation are loving, you know, video.
They grew up with it though, didn't we? Like when we were growing up, we had VHS video recorders, and we used to, like, the only time we ever saw a camera was on family holidays and family events and stuff. But, you know, they're born with it in their pockets now, pretty much, aren't they? And even, like, there's always that element of, you always feel a little bit nervous on camera because we're not used to it. We weren't growing up talking to a lens, but they are. You know, like TikTok, YouTube, that they are in that generation, so there won't be that fear of doing it, which stops a lot of people. And I mean, even the platforms are shifting. You know, I've been getting a lot of sponsored adverts on LinkedIn talking about how they are shifting massively to be video centric now, because it's just the fastest and easiest way of consuming information.
Yeah. So from a business perspective, I'll just put a question to yourself. So, you know, from a business perspective, are you looking to kind of double down in, you know, like social type videos versus, you know, the traditional commercial based videos that businesses, we'll call it stereotypically, wanted back in the day?
So obviously we're always looking at how the landscape of video is shifting, and it is constantly shifting with the platforms constantly changing. And when the business very much started out, it was, you know, we create a video for a company and we hand them the video and then it's done. But obviously with COVID and the amount of video content on there now, what we're looking to do is build in much more return on investment from the videos that we produce. And obviously, speaking for myself and obviously the rest of the team here at Old Media Group, like, we take a lot of pride in the videos that we make, and it was really disheartening when you put so many hours and resource and creativity into a video, you pass it back to the client and you see it on their YouTube video with 20 views. It's like we want to help get the video there to their specific target market. So to answer your question, we're going to carry on kind of on the social front in terms of video first social media, but I feel like the more accessible video becomes, that mid of the market is slowly going to be phased out, because, you know, the more quantity there is there, the level of quality drops, because it's what people get used to seeing. So we're going to shift up there for the really high quality cinematic videos, the TV adverts and the high end customer advocacy videos, but then still keep the social media offering, which can really bring a good and solid return on investment for our clients.
So, you know, in terms of the types of videos that you are producing, say, like from your commercial and then social, and I guess it's just like a personal thing. What types of videos do you prefer to create? Do you like, because I can imagine, like with the Dr. Dave scenario, you can have a lot more fun and flexibility.
Yeah.
You know, trying to bring a character to life.
Yeah.
You know, versus something that's more corporate and commercial, you know, where, you know, the boundaries are probably, you know, a little tighter.
Yeah, I like the middle ground where we've got a high end campaign video where we can get the whole team working in their different processes. And it's so nice to get all of them coming together and create something that's high-end glossy, but the client has still allowed us to have enough creativity so we kind of tick that box, if that makes sense. But I do enjoy, it's taken a shift in my mindset because I'm obviously the old school video still. So it's taken a shift in terms of getting used to the TikTok style videos and filming on your phone and the Osmo cameras. But I'll tell you what I do like about that is the instant results. You know, you can put it out on TikTok, for example, and get 700-800 views in the first couple of hours. And you couldn't have done that 5-6 years ago. It would have been possible. And now you can do it without even a massive following, because obviously it uses the algorithm to push it out to people that will be interested in it.
Yeah.
So a mixture, to be honest. I think I still would like, you know, a good example is we did a brand film for the Camping and Caravanning Club last summer, and it was such a fun shoot because they gave us free rein on the creativity. It was filmed over 4 different days in 4 different locations all around England, you know, and I love being outside and around. I'm a camper, so it was kind of a bit of a dream job for me, really. You know, you can bring in actors, you can bring in props, you can have the full flexibility. You've always got the challenges with the weather, which is what I like. I like a good challenge. But again, seeing that from start to finish, and you can watch that video and say, wow, all that resource went into it. It's really creative and it ticks all the boxes from the client's perspective. It's like, it's a good feeling.
So a question then, because obviously you mentioned that you like I am a dinosaur in the SEO world. You're a dinosaur in the kind of the video world. When we're hiring, what are you noticing in terms of, say, like the kind of the new generation that have, you know, been born into the team in terms of, you know, flexibility, as well as, you know, being able to, you know, embrace and adopt, you know, a wide range of the platforms, like video platforms, to kind of get things going for clients.
It goes back to what you said earlier, Dave, to be honest, mate. It's what they've grown up with is what they've done. So, you know, a lot of the interviews that we do now, we're doing a round of interviews for an apprentice. And obviously these are younger people, younger generation that don't necessarily have the ability and skills, but they've gone and taught themselves. So all their showreel stuff is kind of like vlogs for YouTube and TikTok videos and all that kind of stuff, which is brilliant because, you know, what we do from an employment perspective is we employ an attitude and enthusiasm, because you can teach the rest if they tick those 2 boxes. But we've definitely seen a shift from, you know, how to do it, how to shoot a high-end promo, and you get some people that come out of college that are really infused to do it, to people that have just been able to have the ability to do it in their bedroom effectively.
Yeah. And which videos that you've kind of produced, say, and we'll talk about, say, like one of your platforms, so say like TikTok as a kind of example. What types of videos are you finding that's working in the industry and getting the most, you know, views, shares, engagement, you know, based on what you kind of see?
I think it really comes down to the strategy that underpins it, to be honest. You know, a couple of examples is we're currently working with a recruitment company, and they wanted to use TikTok as a channel to build, you know, teachers there, you know, so they've got a platform where they can slowly start dropping adverts into it. But again, they didn't necessarily want to be named. The business didn't want to be named. So we gave it a completely different persona. And basically what we do for that is we do a TikTok video a day. So there's a lot of content, but they're all funny, engaging videos. So again, it's like we bring actors in, we do skits, we get into schools, we do skits, we use like GIFs and memes throughout the videos. But again, that reaches a much wider audience because their target market's wider, if that makes sense. And there's no kind of hard sell there. But, you know, some of the videos on that are reaching like 1 million views. So I really enjoy seeing that from a return on investment perspective. But then I also enjoy, you know, the team working on your stuff because it's searchable content. You know, TikTok has become a searchable platform, and that was very much underpinned in your strategy in terms of like, you know, what is SEO? You put in what is SEO on TikTok, we want to see Dr. Dave there. So again, it's more about the return on investment and making sure that we're giving the client the solid return on investment.
Yeah, and what we noticed is an example, like the other day on, say, like the Dr. Dave, one of the videos that was produced is, you know, not just a text-based response when somebody asks the question, but actually doing a follow-up video to try and, you know, keep the human element to it and answering that query, which you can answer a lot more in depth than you can, say, like within the character limits of the platform as well.
Yeah, I mean, going back to what we were saying, obviously we weren't born into the video age, were we really? And obviously we've forced you to be on camera somewhat. How have you felt the shift of obviously the first time we put you in front of a camera to you being in front of a camera now?
Yeah, so a good question. I guess the first time, I did it, it was almost like the camera was, being stuck in my face, and you forget, what your lines and what you're supposed to be kind of saying. But I think the more and more that I've done it, hopefully I've got better, with that. Um, but it just becomes more and more natural, and you need to keep just practicing it, keep doing it, and it will actually, become more natural. Just what I'd say for anybody that's thinking about doing, videos, and especially, coming from, say, like someone where I wasn't brought with that, it's just, just have some kind of talking points, just have some kind of things like cues, so because often the information, your skill, and what you're supposed to be saying around the context. It's just having those cue points to keep the thing flowing,
Yeah.
as well, and just try and almost ignore the camera that's there and anybody that's around it, and just just talk.
Yeah, and be yourself.
Be
I think
yourself,
that's
yeah,
the key
exactly.
thing, because the people that are watching it most likely have met you already in some form. So
Yeah,
it'd be very strange if they didn't,
yeah,
if they didn't see you in that video.
exactly.
Lovely, Dave. I mean, have you got any more questions from my perspective?
So yeah, in terms of a question, then I guess for yourself is, from a video perspective, what do you see as the kind of the future of video, and if there was a platform out there that would be kind of an ideal platform that would be, a growth, say like on TikTok or YouTube, what would that look like in terms of getting you what you need?
Yeah. So I do feel like the middle of the market of video production is slowly going to be phased out, because obviously the more kit there is out there for people to do and create their own content, then obviously the quality threshold gets lower because there's just more volume of it. So I do feel like there's still have the high end market, which is your TV adverts, but then obviously you still got your social cause here, really, which is where you can really pinpoint your target market. In terms of platforms, I think something that I would really like to see is the massive shift in LinkedIn being the B2B of TikTok. I feel like that is where it has to shift now, to be
Yeah,
honest, because I feel like it'll push much more people to make videos, because it is the number one way of consuming content. But there's no massive platform that's B2B centric. Obviously, TikTok you can use for B2B, but it's still very much B2C and creating engaging, funny content.
yeah,
Lovely.
cool.
Yeah, well, thank you very much, Dave, for
Thank you very much for your
joining
time.
us.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it.